Time, the greatest asset we don't own, but we can choose how we invest it. Today is a lovely day to spend outside, yet I need to hoover the house, mop the kitchen, build some storage units, pick up some painting mounts, and that's before I even get out the front door. Then I need to mow the lawn, weed the beds, water the plants, and, well, the list just goes on and on. So how am I going to achieve this? I'm going to do it all without lifting a finger. Maybe whilst reading a book in the sun. Well, okay, I'll need to lift one finger. One of the most requested topics I've had has been to look at gardens and how smart tech can help. So this video looks at 3 dimensions where smart technology is really starting to change our abilities in gardening. Outside, where large lawns would have been a daunting task to maintain, they now become a button push or a schedule. Where once we were forced to hack and pull at nature with heavy tools, brute force and chemicals, there's a certain delicacy entering the garden. Force and power are being replaced by precision and repetition. And most of all, the armies of sensors that are becoming readily available at ever lower costs means that we're able to understand, indeed appreciate our gardens more than we ever dreamt of. This isn't about how the technology is changing, oh, it automates, or oh, it's got flashing LEDs, but rather 3 more profound benefits to you and your garden. And through that, it'll change the amount that you can complete every hour, the age to which you can maintain your garden, the quality with which you can maintain it, and most of all, give you more time. Oh, and as always, there's lots of free files and designs throughout this video that you can pinch to organise and improve your garden better than ever before. So, let's get down and dirty. The baseline of everything is intelligence. The ability to understand our gardens more precisely and accurately underpins everything. Whereas the gardener of yesteryear might have stuck his finger in the air and roughly guesstimated the amount of rainfall, these are now contained within immensely powerful and accurate devices. I've used an EcoWit weather station for many years. These devices act as the beating heart of your smart garden. The range of sensors is phenomenal. I can instantly see the temperature, humidity, air pressure, rainfall, wind speed, the wind direction, the UV index, solar radiation, moon phase, wind chill, the dew point, and loads more. EcoWit integrates superbly with Home Assistant and has done for many years. This is even cooler as you can then create graphs to understand not just the weather today, but forever. Just think, that year when you had that bumper crop of tomatoes, what exactly were the conditions that led to that? Compare what you'd be able to do with a vague feeling of that summer versus the precise scientific measurements of every minute of every day. EcoWit also sell these little moisture sensors that integrate too. So you can stick these into your plant pots or soil and everything else and understand moisture levels too. You can make your own like I was showing you a few weeks ago. In fact, there's a video I'll do coming up showing Elegoo's neat little kits. They have moisture sensors and about 30 other things in one little kit with instructions, so watch out for that. But if you want to know a little secret, I know another of my favourite companies is working on something in this space, so watch out on my site and I'll add a friendly dog in the near future. The point is, this is a really rich area for innovation, and there's loads of great solutions available. So these devices alone provide a phenomenal battery of capability to power everything. Remember, as it integrates to Home Assistant, every single one of these metrics can become a trigger too. Flash a light when a frost is detected, buzz your phone when the UV index is above a certain level, play a sound when plants need watering, in your house or outside. But smart devices can also provide visual intelligence. I use a Reolink camera inside my house already, again another Home Assistant fan's favourite brand, to monitor my CNC in the workshop. But I can also use them to capture footage and behaviours of wildlife in the garden. These devices are great as they can be battery powered, solar powered and Wi-Fi connected, so you can just plonk them anywhere and they'll just do their thing. So I'll cover this in an upcoming video too, but just think about how easy it'd be to move from seeing the occasional birds flitting around the garden to actually knowing which species were present and their own quirky behaviours. What about a time lapse of your plant growth? Or understanding what is that creature that's eating your plants in the night? In short, it isn't the devices that are becoming more intelligent. It's us. The devices are bringing us closer to understanding nature. And if that doesn't make you twitch, then I don't know what will. The next megatrend is how technology is allowing us to be more delicate with nature. Once you have this huge battery of data and intelligence, you've created a brain for your garden. But what use is a brain without a body? Well, that's being addressed too. Automated and robotic solutions are entering the market every month. And these aren't just taking away chores from us, they're changing the way we do them. Think about carpet cleaning. Originally, we were cleaning them very rarely as we were busy. But when we did, we literally took them outdoors and beat them with a stick to clean them. Then vacuums came along and automated a bit of this task. They greatly improved the end result, taking out lots of dust that beating just wouldn't. But still, we had to plod along behind them, much like man behind the ox and plough. But then robot vacuums came along and they fully detached from us. They could gently and methodically work around our homes, relentlessly removing dust. And they've gradually got better and better. The latest models empty their dust bins and even refill their mops themselves. My new SwitchBot S10 is like this, and I absolutely love it. It cleans its mop 50 times a second and then dries it too. So my tile floor is now sparkling with no effort on my part. It's just an amazing piece of engineering. But if you think about it, we have spent the years since the very emergence of civilization making man's hacking more powerful and easier. The hand plough turned into the ox-pulled plough, which turned into the tractor. Likewise with gardens, where we used to hack away with scythes at grassy fields, we improved this with hand lawn mowers, then petrol-driven mowers. But we were still chained to the labour. It was faster, but unless we were really committed, it was a fortnightly hacking back of lawns. But this whole paradigm has shifted with the emergence of autonomous solutions. Now, robot lawnmowers have been around for a while, but like most emergent technology, they were finicky and limited, constrained by having to lay metal wires all around every section of your whole garden. This era is truly over. Enter robots like David Mowie. They are the masters of ground control and can deal with the most complex terrain like a boss. Slopes, trees, massive holes dug by mad women. This is a secret upcoming project. Patreons. They work by locating themselves to centimetre precision using dozens of satellites and antennae, enabling super accurate mapping. Setting them up is as easy as driving them like a remote control car around the perimeter of your lawn. But most importantly, they can work 24/7. Using your sensors, they can pick exactly the right time to mow based on temperature, rainfall, humidity and more. And they never stop. If the perfect time to trim your grass is at 3 a.m, well, no problem. And instead of sucking away nitrogen and nutrients by collecting grass clippings and hacking away at large proportions of the grass stem each time, they can gently trim a few millimetres every other day. You want to change the striping pattern each time to minimise the impact on the grass? Well, easy. And sorry, I'll give this lovely fella a proper introduction. When he's not reminding you of the babe. What babe? He's known as the Momotion Luber. I'll add links to the description. Having used him for a couple of years now, he's really the Bamboo Labs of lawn mowing. Super easy, fire and forget, and does an amazing job. Oh, and I'll add my custom 3D printed RTK mount and Luber accessory organisers too, that you can download for free on my site. There's lots of other areas being addressed. Weeding for one. There's two main approaches I've seen. One is solutions like FarmBot. This is 3D printing for plants. A great open source movement that is seeking to create completely autonomous beds using the same approach we use for laser cutters, CNCs and 3D printers. But instead of lasers and spindles and extruders, they use seed planters, water hoses and weed whackers. I've had these on my project list for some time. They're such a great project and tick all my boxes. Open source, community driven, you know the score. Think about it. Once your bed is reduced to coordinates, it means you can plant away automatically. It knows what weeds are as they're not meant to be there. I mean, how cool is all of this? This reminds me so much of a bearded Joseph Prusa tinkering with his i3 just a few years ago. Once people grasp the potential here, this will blow up big time. Anyway, if you're A, wanting to garden with frickin' robots, and B, awesome in any way, then have a proper look at them. There's a link in the description. Oh, and I was raving about how cool they were. They've given me a discount code. So you can get 15% off for a bit. Help this open source revolution. I've got it on my wish list for the next 12 months. Anyway, rant over. FarmBot, if you're listening, keep being awesome. If FarmBot is taking CNCs and putting them in the gardens, the other approach is taking Roombas and dropping them in the vegetable beds. Meet Turtle. He's my little garden bed weeder. A brilliant concept. He uses solar power to charge, a weed whacker to weed, and some omnidirectional wheels to move. The sunnier it is, the more the weeds grow, but the more energy he also has. He just bounces around the beds, whacking weeds and keeping them suppressed. Now, he struggles with his size to get in between big plants at the height of the season, and you need a flat bed naturally for him to operate. So I find he's best used at the start of the season to keep some of the relentless growth down. He reminds me a lot of the very first Roombas. Undoubtedly does a job, but you can see how far he could come. But the point with these solutions is how gentle they are. Turtle doesn't need to rip out deep-rooted weeds. He just whacks them as they pop above the ground until the weed is exhausted and dies back. And those nutrients are left in the soil to degrade, not taken out, which then means that you don't need to constantly replace them with fertilisers. The same is true of other areas. Think of irrigation. We've moved from drowning plants randomly with watering cans based on sticking our fingers in the soil to guess the moisture levels, to precise sensors that allow gentle and continual irrigation at the point it's needed. Water can be delivered in gentle mists to aid plant growth, and under the soil through soaker hoses to directly supply the roots. And all of this becomes an easy sandbox for your own knowledge. If someone swears by watering their tomatoes after the sun goes down, well, just test it. Create an automation that waters one bed after the sun goes down through the summer, and then another that waters normally. Then you can literally see and taste the result. The whole experiment runs automatically without a further thought from you. Just think, with a relatively simple setup, you could run dozens of experiments every year to improve your knowledge of gardening, and most importantly, benefit from the results. I use these sewn-off Zigbee irrigation timers on my taps, and they can be triggered by Home Assistant whenever I want. So, if a moisture sensor says the bed is dry, you guessed it. Now, there's still plenty of chores in the garden that need to be tackled. I look forward to the day when DJI release their hedge cutting drone, but I'll probably wait for a few others to test it first. And finally, our gardens are becoming personal. Manufacturing is being replaced by crafting, where it all started. In this way, our gardens can reflect ourselves more and more. Instead of millions of people visiting the same garden centres and having to pick the same plant labels, signs, storage solutions and more, this supply chain is inverting. The generic garden supplies are dwindling and being replaced by personalised, crafted solutions. And this is actually the secret of automation done well. If all this intelligence and automation means we spend less time in our gardens, we've completely missed the point. What they should do is remove the things we hate, routine, mindless, repetitive tasks. And in this sense, it is a return, not a progression. We return to the times when we spent more time crafting and designing, adding our own personality to our gardens, shaping them to reflect ourselves and be that little bit more fun. So if you want to give your spade a name, well, you can. Mine I've named a spade. Well, I like to call a spade a spade. It was super quick to make these on my laser cutter. The same with my hoe, my fork. Everything has just a little bit more personality, even if that personality is slightly bonkers. And obviously David Bowie didn't start out looking like a spider from Mars. Sorry, Momotion, I just couldn't help myself. And every plant label can reflect your own creative design that you can produce in seconds. I laser cut whole sets of these on my X tool in minutes, and they're the perfect solution. Very cheap to produce, totally customizable, completely weatherproof. I can add QR codes to link me to all that information that I always forget once I throw away the seed packets. I cut them in transparent acrylic so they're very discreet and blend in whatever the location. I absolutely love my laser cutter. You haven't got a laser cutter yet? Oh yes, we're going there. I've also got 3D printed RFID tags to control watering, music and lights all over the garden. These cost less than 20p and require no batteries, just tap your phone and get gently soaked. Fighting slugs? Well, why not pinch my Slugmageddon traps? Just pour in some beer and these work like magic. Signs are super easy too on a laser cutter or a CNC. Pop de ping is the wonderful Welsh word for microwave, a suitable name for this sauna that I built. And even our storage can move from being piles of awkwardly bunged tools to organic and ever-evolving organisational systems that suit our every need. It'll be no surprise to anyone who's watched my previous videos that I've integrated my storage methodology here. So you'll see multi-board and Gridfinity doing its thing to keep the sheds tidy. As always, if you see any prints that you like, just shout in the comments and I'll share them for free. So, putting this together, we are right at the cusp of a lot of change. With robots able to take the strain on a lot of the boring tasks, the very sizes of the gardens that we can maintain is radically changing. Likewise, the amount of food that we can produce at home is shifting with this. And all this is underpinned by a rich flowing of data that is enabling us to see our gardens with greater detail and precision than ever before. While some people have throughout history panicked at the arrival of technology, I take a more nuanced view. This is an exciting era where we're returning to the way things were as much as we're moving forward. The aggression of machinery is being removed. The genericism of big box products is being dissolved, and the dumb luck of gardening is being distilled into true knowledge. Now, everything I've covered in this video is in the description, so have a click if you want to find out more. These are some really neat solutions that can amplify your abilities, reduce the time that it takes you to do tasks, or simply increase your enjoyment of your garden. And give a green-fingered thumbs up to these folks who are the brilliant Patreons and YouTube members who make all of this possible. They're a wonderful bunch, and I love having a good old brainstorm in Discord with them about upcoming project ideas. So if you want to see more previews and peaks of madness, then you can join below. I mean, who doesn't want to see rocket cakes and ESP sensors, underwear beta versions, and most importantly, understand what is that hole in the ground? But I want to bring it all together. So if you're a tech expert, what have I missed that I could include? And if you're a gardening expert, what are your biggest gripes that I could help tackle? I'm going to be building an indoor herb grower also soon, so keep watching for that. But right now, it's time to enjoy the brief glimpse of the summer that is Scotland. Catch you later, folks.
There's a storm cutting in the sky, golden chairs, ground control to major satellites. Oh, you pretty long, turn and face the shed, Ziggy mow the grass. John, I'm only mowing, ground to control to major light.